Aloha, YouTube investors. How is everybody doing today? My name is David Jansen. Welcome to my channel. Today is February 23rd. It is Tuesday, 2021. The week is still at the beginning, and I hope that your week ends up well. I hope everybody is safe and healthy out there. But we are going to be looking at ticker symbol SQ in this video. Square, they announced their earnings at the end of the U.S. stock market trading day. The stock took a little bit of hit at the end of the day, but I still like the company. But before we get into it, I do own a little bit of Square in my Robinhood portfolio that we're looking at right now. My Robinhood portfolio isn't up at the 34% last year in gains. Not last year, last week in gains is what I had. Now it's only 28, 29%. But like I always say, the stock market is volatile and it can be risky. So do your own research because in general, you only want to invest money that you can afford to lose, but it doesn't have to be that risky, but it still can be. So if you have to pay your rent, if you have to eat, if you have kids to take care of, use that money on those areas first before you invest it in the stock market. You don't want to use Robinhood or any of these other platforms as a gambling tool, as in my opinion, some people did with the GameStop stock when that was going through the roof over the last couple weeks. Some people probably made a lot of money, and there were probably quite a few people that lost a lot of money as well too. So please do your own research. But all time, I'm still doing relatively well with my Robinhood portfolio. I do have two other main brokerages that I use. My Roth IRA sets with M1 Finance, and I have another individual account with Fidelity. I did move that individual account out of M1 Finance in September of last year. So if you'd like to check that out, somewhere around the 2-minute mark here, I'll have the playlist link card pop up here for Fidelity. You can look at the process there of moving, how it looked and how it worked and my reasoning and all that type of stuff of moving my individual account from M1 Finance over to Fidelity. But for this video, we're going to be talking about Square. I do own a little bit here in my Robinhood portfolio. I haven't added to them since I first bought a very, very small position with them because the stock just kind of took off. But I added when the stock market crashed in March. I didn't actually pick this up in March, but things were still recovering relatively slow throughout the spring. But I still got in at $117, which is amazing, seeing how the stock now is trading at $242, which everybody kind of expected this company to be like this. It is a tech company, a fintech company. They sit in, I guess, kind of the fintech financial sector. Jack Dorsey is the CEO, and the story is, I think it's a great story on how he came about with Twitter and Square and some of these other companies. If you want to read about that, check those out. I found it fascinating how he saw a need and decided to tackle that need. But again, back here to my position, I don't even own a half a share of Square. I love fractional shares. Robinhood allows for fractional shares, so does M1 Finance, and now a lot of the other big brokerages do as well too. So at the end of the video, you'll see a card that asks the question, is M1 Finance still relevant in 2021? Check that video out. It kind of goes over some things for you to think about and when it comes to brokerages. But if you haven't started your investment journey, I do have links in the description, and please subscribe to my channel as well too. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed already and continues to follow and like my channel and like my videos as well. There's a thumbs up button there for you to like the video. And feel free to share with your family and friends too. And everybody who has used my link to start, any of my links to start investing, I really appreciate that as well. So I originally put $25 into Square, so my total return is over 105%. So the stock has done really, really well for me. I assume it's done really, really well for most people. Now that it's trading at 242 at the end of the U.S. stock market trading day, it did drop over 4%, which I always find strange, odd, interesting, I guess, when a stock announces their earnings and they do very, very well in that quarter, in the previous quarter, and then all of a sudden the stock drops. And in after hours, it dropped even more. It dropped over 5.5%. My personal opinion on why it falls is because people see the earnings, they see that the company did well, their revenues are growing and things like that. Nothing major is hurting the company or the stock, and so they decide to take profits. They're like, okay, I've made this much in the company, in the stock, and Square doesn't pay a dividend. So I might as well take profits from it because it doesn't matter how many shares I own because they're not paying a dividend. At least that's just my opinion on why sometimes the company stock price falls after they have a really good earnings report. So let's look at that. Let's look at that great earnings report that Square had. This is quarter 4 of 2020. It was announced today, February 23rd, 2021. And as you can see, revenue was amazing for them. I think they almost doubled their revenue to $3.16 billion. So the company is making a ton of money. As far as revenue components, usually Alpha Street, that's the website that I'm using here, they put together these graphs. They call it an infograph. I like it for YouTube. I like how it puts everything concise here in this graph here for you to kind of look at, kind of the main things they pick from the earnings report. But anyway, their revenue component or their segments, you can see transaction-based revenue up 12%, their hardware revenue, and their hardware revenue is, I don't know if you've seen the point-of-sale systems at the stores or the restaurants, or even those little square boxes. I always see them with the Girl Scouts here outside the grocery store when they're selling their cookies so that you can accept a credit card. They have this little box that you stick into the 3.5 millimeter jack into your phone, and then you can swipe and take credit card payments. And I've actually bought stuff from people off of Facebook, and they had the little square box that they plugged into their phone, and they took the transaction via my credit card. So that's their hardware. The revenue grew on that. Subscription and services-based revenue grew 60%. That's amazing. And Bitcoin revenue grew 100%. And mainly that's just because they just started buying up a lot of Bitcoin. Now, Square does have the Cash App. And in the Cash App, you can actually buy stocks and stuff like that. And you can buy Bitcoin. So I do own a very, very small percentage of Bitcoin in the Cash App. I think it was trading at, I don't know, $8,000 or $10,000 when I first bought like $20 of Bitcoin in the Cash App. Now Bitcoin's trading up at $48,000 or something like that. But anyway, Jack Dorsey, their CEO, he sees Bitcoin as the future of online transactions as far as payments are concerned, and that might be the case. So now Bitcoin owns $170 million. That's M million, not billion, dollars of Bitcoin. So that has helped their revenue as well too. As far as gross payment volume is concerned, this is in the billions. From quarter 4 of 2019, where they brought in over $28.5 billion, to quarter 4 for 2020, you can see it was at $32 billion. So significant growth there. From quarter 3 to quarter 4, not huge growth, but they did still beat estimates. So it grew 12% as far as their gross payment volume is concerned. And then some other things that you can see here, their operating income grew 100%. Operating expenses went up, which isn't uncommon for tech companies to have more expenses. And then their adjusted EBITDA, $185.5 million, grew 56%. And then their long-term debt is only $2.5 billion, only $2.59 billion, which really isn't a lot. So their operating cash flow came in at $380 million and some change, but their cash and cash equivalents is over $3 billion, $3.2 billion. So if needed, if the creditors came to them today and said, you know what, we're tired of you, or whatever their reasoning is, pay us this $2.5 billion right now, they could easily do it with their cash and cash equivalents, and they're still bringing in $381 million in cash flow. So the company is profitable. It's a company that I really like. If it drops down to 200, my personal opinion, I will buy some more if I have the money available. But like I mentioned in all my videos, I don't have a lot of money, and I am still trying to build my core positions with my Roth IRA. That's kind of my first and foremost before I start investing in these two individual accounts that I have with Fidelity and Robinhood. But I do like the company, and if you're a new investor, in my personal opinion, even though the stock is trading at $240, you know, you've got fractional shares with Robinhood and all these other platforms. You can easily do what I did and just put $25 in. If you have more money, you could put $500 or $1,000 in. The stock is still going to grow, in my personal opinion. There's a lot of, Kathy Woods. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she runs the ARK Invest. She keeps buying shares of Square as well too. So the company and the stock just has a lot more room to grow. So anyway, that's Square, ticker symbol SQ. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. I hope everybody has a safe and healthy day. Mahalo and aloha.